What is going on, fellow web developers? My name is TYLERP, and in today's video we're going to be getting started with our first ever Laravel application. Now, Laravel is a free open source PHP web framework. It was created by Taylor Otwell and it's built around the architectural pattern model view controller, or MVC, and it was also based on Symfony. Now, it was released back in 2011, 9 years ago, and since then a lot of web applications have been built in Laravel, and it's absolutely amazing and powerful. So I'm going to show you how to get started with Laravel in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Today's video is brought to you by Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform for your PHP-based applications. Cloudways offers peace of mind and flexibility to let you focus on growing your business and reach new milestones. Now, with Cloudways, you get an optimized stack, managed server and application backups, staging websites, integrated Git and Composer, and the choice of 5 cloud providers like AWS, DigitalOcean, Linode, and more. So if you're an agency or an e-commerce business and looking for a managed solution, then go for Cloudways without wasting a moment. You can use the promo code TYLERP when signing up via the link in the description to get $15 free hosting credit. And by the way, I really like their slogan, moving dreams forward. So guys, the first thing we want to do is click on our documentation here and obviously click installation. So once we're in the installation page, we're going to be looking at getting started. So what we're going to be doing first is installing via Composer. Now, we could install any other way, but my preferred method is using Composer. Now, if you've never used Composer or you've never downloaded it before, you don't have it on your machine, head over to getcomposer.org and follow the documentation or the getting started to download it and get it installed to your machine. Once you have Composer installed, we can then take the Composer create project, Laravel. If we just copy this command here, head back into our terminal here and run the command, we can run Composer and then we can run our project name. So let's just call this Laravel-YouTube. Hit enter and it's going to create a Laravel project. I will see you once this has run the installation. Okay guys, as you can see, that has finished. It took probably like 10 seconds at most to complete, so it wasn't long at all. Now we've got this, we could just list here and you can see we now have Laravel YouTube. So if we cd into Laravel YouTube and open it in Visual Studio Code by doing code dot. Obviously, if you don't have Visual Code installed, then use any text editor you wish. There we go. And as you can see on the left, we have a bunch of different files. So the main files we're going to be looking at today is inside the routes and also inside the resources folders here. So you can see we have the routes, the resources, and also a bunch of other files. But we're going to ignore the rest of these. The only ones we might need is package.json, our webpack.mix, and the web.php inside routes, and everything inside of the resources folder. So let me explain what this is. So inside of here we have our resources folder. Now this is our development build of, let's say, our CSS. So before it's compiled into a minified version, which will be put into public. Same with our JavaScript. We have our JavaScript which will use require, and we have our app which requires the bootstrap. So both of those are there, which are installed. And then we have this language folder, and then we have our views folder. Now the views folder is going to be the main folder we use, because this is what we're going to be creating our pages with in Laravel. And as you can see here, you might see it's a .blade.php file. Now, what is a .blade.php? Now, Blade is basically the templating engine which Laravel uses. So it's a PHP templating engine. So let's just close that file for now. In our app, we have nothing in there, but we can compile that down into a file we can use. And that's about it for the file structure. So we have the web file inside of our routes. Now this is where we are going to show all our client or our user facing web pages. So we have our welcome page, you can see here it is our home page, we give it a route, and then the function to what to run. So return a view, which is a Laravel function called welcome. Now the welcome, so what this view does is it finds the views folder and it will grab the file which has the welcome name in it there, welcome, and it will attach the .blades.php to the end of this automatically. We could also do something such as index and rename the welcome to index, and that would also work. There you go. So that is the web file we need. And we also have the API, which allows us to make API requests. So if you're setting up a web application that requires an API, you can set it all up within here. We also have the channels, which I haven't used, but it's the broadcast channels, and as you can see, it basically allows you to broadcast events. And we also have the console, which allows you to run, I think, terminal commands, which is pretty cool if I'd say so myself. But let's close that. Let's close API, and web is the only one we're going to be using in this tutorial. Now, to actually serve our website, we need to actually run a command. So inside of our terminal here, we're going to say php artisan, and then once you run php artisan, we're going to run serve. Now artisan is it has a massive set of tools, as you can see here. It basically gives us a bunch of tools to run our Laravel project. So we're going to say artisan serve. Hit enter, and that's going to start our website on a development server, as you can see right here. It gives us a link, so let's copy that, head over to our web page, click the plus, and post that in. And as you can see, we have the Laravel starting page here. So let's go back to the code, let's click on the welcome.page, and let's just change something inside of here. So instead of documentation, let's say not documentation. Head over here, refresh, and as you can see, it now says not documentation. So anything we edit in here will reflect on this website, which is perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our own views and our own webs, and we're also going to set up some layouts. So Blade will allow us to template using a default template, which we then inject the content into per page, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So firstly, let's delete our welcome.blade.php and create a new file and call it index.blade.php, and we're going to leave this blank for now. Into our views, we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this layouts. Now layouts are going to be our default styling or default page template or structures we're going to use. So in here, we're going to call this default.blade.php. And we're basically going to create a boilerplate piece of code. As you can see, we're just getting a normal boilerplate here, and we're just going to leave this as it is. But instead, in here, we're just going to put h1 and say hello world. Now let's go and render this to our page. So instead of using the welcome, we're actually going to be going inside of the layouts folder, and instead of using a /, which you can still use a /, but we're going to be using a dot, which is how people normally do this in Laravel, and we're going to do .default to get our file here. We don't need the extension, Laravel will get that for us. So we're just going to say layouts.default, and we're going to head back here, refresh, and as you can see, we get the hello world page. So in here, we've got that, but what happens if we want to add some CSS to it? So what we can do is create a link. Now to get reference to our CSS, we need to actually use this templating string. So these tags allow us to run Laravel functions inside of here. So what we could do is run assets, which is a function, and we're going to pass through the path we want to get, which is going to be our CSS app.css. So what this is going to do, it's going to look through our public folder for a CSS path /app.css, which currently doesn't exist in here. But let's go into our resources app.css and actually add some body. So let's say body background red, just for testing, or you know what, we'll do pink so it doesn't hurt our eyes too much. So we've got our pink, but if we go back and we refresh, you can see that is not working currently because we need to actually render this file. Compile this file. So to compile the file, we need to open up our integrated terminal or any terminal in this directory, and we're going to run npm install. Now this is going to install the packages inside of our package def dependencies here, which will allow us to use post CSS, which will compile our CSS down or basically pull it inside of our public folder. So there you go, that's now done. So let's just close that, and now we just need to run our def. Sorry, we did not need to close that. So we open this. So we need to run our def command here. So to do that, we're going to run npm run def, which is basically going to call just development. It's just shorthand for running development. And then what that's going to do is going to run a mix, which is going to basically use this webpack.mix.js file, and it's going to run our Laravel mix, which basically uses post CSS to put our resources.css.app.css, so in here, our resources CSS app.css, inside of our public /CMS folder. Now, once that's done, we're just going to hit enter, and that should run all of this. So let's close that file and close that. And as you can see, it says compiled successfully. So if we head back to our web application now and hit refresh, you can see we get our pink background. So our CSS is now working. Let's close that. And what we need to do now is actually install Tailwind. So let's head over to the Tailwind documentation here, and I'm on the install Tailwind CSS with Laravel. So as you can see here, we have setting up our Laravel project. We're then going to run npm install, which we've already done. And to install Laravel, we need to run this command here. So let's copy this. Let's head back to our code. I'm going to run Control-Option-T to open up my terminal. Hit paste and hit enter. And this should now install Tailwind to our dependencies for us inside of our package.json file. As you can see, it's added auto prefixer and Tailwind here. Now, if we head back to Tailwind, it's going to ask us to run npx Tailwind CSS init. Now, we're not going to do this because we don't need a config file for this package, but you can also add this in if you want. We're not going to be purging anything for this tutorial, but again, you can also add in this if you want to. So the next thing we need to do is inside of our webpack.mix.js file, we need to add require Tailwind CSS. So let's head back into our VS Code, close this, and close this. Let's go down to our webpack.mix, and where we've got these double slashes, remove it, paste this in, require Tailwind CSS, and now when we run our npm def, it's going to actually compile this with Tailwind, the CSS with Tailwind instead of our normal compiler. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually paste these inside of our app.css, the default Tailwind tags. So if we go to our in resources CSS app.css, remove the body.pink but keep the Tailwind base components and utilities, hit save, and now we can run not inside of our CSS, I'm not sure that would work. Inside of our terminal, we'll go to npm run def, and now this should compile our Tailwind CSS. So as you can see, that's now compiled. So let's have a look. So we've got our app.css, which is just these 3 lines of code. We can actually close this folder now, but if we go inside of our public under CSS and app.css, you can see we get all of Tailwind's CSS added to our page here, or to our CSS file. So let's close that, close webpack.mix, and now if we head back to our web app here and refresh, you can see we get the default styled Tailwind stuff. So let's head back to our default.blade.php file, and what we want to do in here is actually start styling this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a header, and in our background, we're also going to have a class. And this class is going to be equal to background-gray-900. We're then going to have our class of fixed for the header because it's going to be stuck to the top. We're going to say top 0, right -0. Oh, and also left -0. In here, we're just going to have a dot container with the class of mx auto and a padding of 4 all the way around. And we'll have a nav with the class of flex, justify end, and also text white. And then we'll have an anchor tag, which will just be to / for now, and it'll have a class of mx-3. And then we'll do a hover effect of text-purple 500. And we'll call this home. Now we're going to duplicate this and call this about. and we'll just say /about here. So there we go. So that's going to give us these two paths. So if we head back to our content here, hit refresh, you can see our page now has the darker background, and if we hover over our buttons, you can see we now have this. So Tailwind is actually working and compiled. We may be using this default.blades.php, but this is just a layout. What happens if we want to set up pages which all use this same style? So let's say we have the same header that's used over and over again. To do that, we need to run in here yield, and we're going to say content. So this is now where we're going to inject our content into our default.blades.php. So what we want to do is head over to our index.blades.php, and we actually want to say this extends our layout.default template, and then we want to basically add content to our, we want to add the content to our section, which is called content, and then we're just going to say end content. End section, not content. And then here, anything we put in here, for example, hello world, will be rendered to our web or our default.blade.php inside of our yield content here, because we're using section content here, and this extends it. Obviously, to do that though, if we go in here and we refresh, you can see we get nothing. We actually need to change this from layout back to our index file here, which then pulls in the layout by default. So if we refresh, as you can see, we get our normal template stuff, but we also get this hello world text at the top left here. So let's head back into our hello world and let's actually add some styling to this. So let's create a section with the hscreen.flex.item center. We're going to create a div inside here called container.mxauto, and inside there we're going to have a h1 with the text of white, text 8xl.mb6.uppercase and .font black. Hit enter, and in here we'll just go run Tyler, and then we'll create a span with the class of text purple 500, and we're just going to say pots. Now underneath the h1 we're going to have a h3 with the class of text white again, text 4xl this time. We're going to have the font weight at light, and we're going to also make our tracking wider, and we're just going to say welcome to my website, it is very cool. Hit save. Let's go back and let's refresh, and there you go. You can see we already have this nice looking landing page on the home page. But what happens if we want to create a second page, let's say the about page? You can see here we get a 404 not found. So what we want to do is go back into our web.php file, and we literally want to copy the route, create a new one, and do /about. Now we need to get a new view because we can't use the same one, it's going to be the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our views, create a new file, and it's going to be about.blade.php. Now inside of this one, we're also going to do extends, and as you can see here, we can give it a name. So we're going to say layouts.default, and then we're going to create the section again. There we go, that section, and we're going to call this content. And now inside of the content, we're going to say section.hscreen.flex.item-center. We're then going to give it the container.mxauto again, and we're going to give it a h1 with the text white. We're going to set the text equal to 4xl and the MB of 6, again uppercase, and font black again. There we go. And let's say about my website. And down here we're going to say P. We'll create a paragraph tag which is going to be text white. We're going to do text LG font light, and we're also going to say tracking wider.mb6. Now inside of here we're just going to do some lorem, let's say 50. We'll do a couple of breaks and then we'll do a lorem 20. There you go. So now we have a bit of content inside of that. And underneath, we'll give it a little text purple 500 anchor tag, which will just take us home. So we'll just say go home, and the home, oh, not up there. The home route is just going to be /. So hit save, go back to our website, hit refresh, and now if we hit about, you can see it does nothing. Let's go back to our web here and check. So you can see here we accidentally called this view.index. So what we need to do is just update this to the about template. Go back, refresh, and as you can see, we now get the about my website. It gives us some content and it gives us our go home button, which takes us back home. We can also use the navigation at the top here. And that is how simple Laravel is. But when we click on about, you can see it doesn't actually tell us we're on the about page. And when we're on the home page, these links don't really indicate it. So how can you do that inside of our default template here? Now, we have a command we can use. So inside of our classes here, before the hover, or actually after, it doesn't really matter, we can use the templating strings here, and we can say request is, so we're just checking what the request is, which we're going to check basically the URL. So this is just going to be, if we're at home, we're basically going to echo or pass back the text color purple to be 500 by default, else we're going to pass back nothing. There you go. So now if we copy this and we put this inside of this one as well, but instead of / about, oh sorry, /, we're just going to say about. Now if we go back here and we refresh, you can see the home is now highlighted. So if we click on the about page, you can see the about page is now highlighted and the home is not. And that is a really cool little trick you can do with Laravel. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. It was a very quick one just to teach you on the basics of Laravel. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, drop me a comment below if you have any questions at all, and don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Cloudways. The links will be in the description below. If you're excited to learn more Laravel, then let me know in the comments below and I will try and make some more Laravel content. But for now, guys, thank you for watching this video and peace out.